when I was watching this fight, and I texted and I even put it out on Twitter, I was like, I thought Alex won the first round. Please, you said a lot. You said a L.
I was just laughing. I was just laughing at you.
Right or wrong?
Yeah. It really depends on how you look at it. I like that the leg kicks had the effect, and when you look at the ground was okay. There was a couple good elbows, but he did a good job of protecting himself. And I think most of the damage that you could really tell in that round came from the leg kicks, and that would have given, in my opinion, Alex the round.
If I'm making you switch your stance, if I'm making you fight a different way, that means
I'm hurting you.
Yeah, I'm hurting. I'm making you move.
Yeah,
I'm
hurting
do
you.
something. Yeah,
exactly.
And to
which
me,
makes you do that.
Yeah, I looked at Alex in terms of the first round. I thought Alex did the most damage with the leg kicks. I thought he controlled the space really well.
He got hit, but the leg kicks I thought were the big difference maker.
Yeah. And then when he got taken down, sure, the takedown was nice, got to the bottom. Yuri was on top, 3/4 mount, but there was no real significant damage done. Like I would say 3 or 4 shots got through, but not enough to make Alex have to fight a different way.
Who was damaged more in the first round?
I think that Yuri was. I think the leg kicks really developed. Yeah, because in the second round, as soon as Alex came out and lay a leg kick, you could see Yuri right away switch his stance and started to change the way that he fought.
His leg was hurt
that round. Yeah.
You remember DC did that little interview with Alex, and he says, give me a kick, right? And he says, 25 in the end, right? And it was like, that was a mistake.
John, like, I was one of the first guys in AK to actually start using that calf kick because I saw some of the benefits of it happening as it was going on throughout, like other people, like in Strike Force. It was George Masvidal that I saw use it. I started using it.
Benson Henderson was using it in the WEC.
Benson. Yep. And then, so I started seeing some of all this stuff come about, and I would use it on DC, and he'd be like, "You can't do that. That's with with shin guards on. You can't do that. Don't
with
kick
shin
me like
guards
that.
on?
Yeah, don't kick me like that. We're talking lightweight, heavyweight. Yeah. Don't kick me like that. Don't kick me like that. Don't do that. Thomas Dionne, train with him. Don't kick me like that. Like 2 or 3 kicks, stop kicking me. Javier, don't kick him like that. There's a real effect, even with shin guard to shin guard, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Still, don't kick me like that. Because you're working around the pad a little bit, and DC just couldn't handle it. Other guys that I had trained with couldn't handle it. They're just like, no. And I didn't kick it super hard, but you don't need to. It just needs to hit the right spot.
There's not a lot of meat there.
There's not. Yeah. You know what's funny, though, is that you would think, right, that fighters would be like, oh, well, let me just turn my shin out a little bit more and check it. It doesn't really matter because you're kicking low enough. We're not kicking to the point where we're kicking like, if I'm kicking your thigh, you bring the leg up to check and it hits like that upper portion of your shin. But if I'm kicking your ankle or like your low bottom calf,
hurts.
You bring it up, it actually hurts just as much. There's not much you can do to check that kick.
Yeah.
And so, and it's going to be there for the duration of, I think as long as the sport goes on, it's going to be there. So people have to start making some adjustments on learning how to fight both ways, which most people are now, just in case they get hurt. But from what I saw from Alex is one of those guys that just has power in that kick no matter what, and he throws it very slow.
And he doesn't turn. He doesn't turn. Look at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
He does it. His toes are straight. On his plant foot, his foot doesn't really turn out, so it's not like he's turning his hips over, trying to put a ton of power in it. He's got enough power to the way he throws it, which is kind of straight and linear, that gets out there pretty quick, and it's got power on it, so he doesn't have to change, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a freaking problem. But I'll say this too, like, because Podcast Day knows him so well, he calls him John Mahal Hill. But John Mahal Hill is somebody that I think gives Alex a tougher fight than Yuri does. And where I thought Yuri's success was going to be in this fight, when we talked about it in the midweek show, I said, he's going to have to throw a lot of stuff unexpectedly. He's going to have to make it dirty and grimy. He's going to have to make it very unorthodox because Alex has that traditional kickboxing style. If you throw spinning back kicks, if you throw uppercuts and left hooks and then like wrestle and take down, you've got to keep Alex guessing. Whereas Jamal Hill, everyone, if you guys are new listeners, we call it, Podcast Dave calls Jamal Hill Jamahal. For one day he read it wrong, and that's the way he pronounced it, was Jamahal. I think that Jamal Hill is
Jamal
just
Hill,
the faster fighter. He's the faster fighter. So I also look at Alex. He's got power. Granted, he's got power. He's not a fast fighter, though.
But Jamal Hill's got power.
But he's fast.
Yeah,
Jamal Hill is
fast.
fast.
He's got power too, though.
He's got power, but I'm saying he's fast. And the power and the quickness of Jamal Hill to get there to his chin, Alex could be in trouble. Where Yuri's not a fast fighter. He's just very unorthodox. He throws the uppercut, the loopy overhand right, a little bit of the wrestling and the kicking mixed in. Punches don't come from the same angles that a normal kickboxer would throw them from. And so I thought his success would come from making it one of those weird, funky style fights.
But it was. He was being successful.
He was being successful.
Especially, look, in the round that he ended up getting knocked out, he was doing well. He was landing a lot of shots.
But only when he put the pressure to make it very just funky and or unorthodox style of stand-up. Alex wants to fight you. A traditional kickboxer. Like, look at, I fought Dwayne Ludwig. And I understand.
They want to fight a traditional
They want you to stand directly in front of them, and they're going to move lateral moves.
Trade.
That's very traditional for the way that you fight kickboxing. Yuri does not fight that way. So why would you go out there and try to fight to someone's strength? What did your dad say? Tell me what your dad said.
Never fight another man's game.
And that's exactly what Yuri was doing in that first round. It didn't make any sense to me. And then when he came out in the second, he started fighting his own game.
Yep.
That's when he started having success.
True.
And then he got into the mix a little bit too much, got clipped and caught. But he was having success. I felt like he was having more success on the feet than Alex was. But then you got to deal with the power. But you've got to mix it up, though. Make the funkiness of it all, but then also wrestle because you knew that's where the fight needed to end up if you wanted to win. But when you look at what Yuri does throughout his fight career, does he seem like he's the guy that has the biggest fight IQ? Not really. But it works for him right now. But John, when I look at guys like him, I go back to the Roy Jones thing. They live off their athleticism, a little bit of the Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz had a good fight IQ. He's very brilliant when it comes to his fight IQ. But his style made it very difficult for people to deal with. Yuri's got to fight more like a Dominic Cruz, constantly moving, constantly throwing weird, awkward things at you. But then also just the aggressiveness on the takedowns and then mixing it back up to the spinning back fists and elbows. And he's got to do more of that, leading in with the uppercut and the left hook, like how Dom used to do. And we only saw that for that short duration in the second round, but then it went away, and then look what happened. So I look at Yuri's definitely not done. I don't believe he is, but I'm saying that he's got something to build on and say, look, I made this mistake by fighting this guy's fight in the first round. Second round, when I did what I was supposed to do, what I normally do, I had success. So now you can go back and say, look, I don't need to make many changes. Just keep doing what I'm doing, but just have more confidence in what I'm doing. But I feel like that came from the layoff. Am I wrong or am I right?
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right because it's a matter of, timing and distance is something that you get comfortable with by being, repetitions. I don't care what it is. If you're, fighting, if you're reffing, repetitions make you better because you just become more comfortable and everything just becomes more natural. And when you're talking about range in a fight and being comfortable at a range, that takes doing it over and over because you'll understand exactly where it is. 'Cause you're not looking at your opponent's face. Okay. It's not like what people think.
Yeah.
You're looking and you're going from the shoulders down and and you're looking towards the legs and stuff and your eyes are going back and forth and you get comfortable with a range that you go, okay, here's where I can attack, and you feel it and you come forward, you pop, it works, and it just keeps on working and working until your opponent starts to off angle you and you have to alter now, you have to change it up a little bit. And that's something that this is where what we call ring rust. I always think that ring rust is the inability to be comfortable with the range that you need to be in to be able to be effective with your offense or your defense against your opponent. And that's what ring rust really is. It's not so much that you're not in shape. It's not that you can't, still do those same techniques. It's you can't do them because you can't get comfortable with the spacing.
Yeah.
And it's something that's repetitions. Repetitions takes care of that comfort. So I think you're right. I think it might have had something to do with it. And you called that, on our last podcast, you talked about he hasn't been fighting while Alex has, and it could be a difference. And I think I think it kind of was.
Yeah. I look at with Alex. Alex was so busy, John, in the last 2 years, whereas Yuri was been out for the last, 15 months or a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know, like he's been out for a while. And that does play a little bit of a factor when someone is extremely busy, like how Alex was. He was fighting all the time, and he wasn't fighting slouches. It wasn't like he was fighting his way to get to the title shot. He was fighting the best guy at 185 pounds. And not once, but twice. And like he was fighting the best guys. Then he fought someone
pretty good at 205.
Yeah, 205. And so it's like, okay, like he hasn't been fighting slouches. He understood. All of those were 5-round camps. So he was been training 5-round camps, whether it was grappling, whether it was wrestling. His confidence has grown a lot in his ability to stop takedowns. That's one. 2 is to get back up to his feet. I wish he would do it a little bit sooner than he did tonight.
There you go.
But
you got to find that moment.
Yeah, he did. I was very impressed by him overall. And John, let's not pussyfoot around the fact that what he's done in 11 MMA fights is fucking just remarkable.
It is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, because you're talking about a guy who was a 2-time champion, 2-division champion in Glory Kickboxing, and everyone goes, yeah, but hey, he's won everywhere, and in a very short time, how many champions has he beaten? He beat Adesanya to win the title. He beat Sean Strickland before that, who is now a champion, right? So there's a UFC champion he's got to win against. He beat Jan Blachowicz. There's another UFC champion. There's 3 right there. And then he just beat Yuri. That's 4. 4 out of 11 fights.
That's insane.
Man, that's impressive.